Hi, I'm Patricia Allingham Carlson, and this is an end-to-end video in 8 parts of my painting Mount Gretna Home. In part 6, I am working on the windows. Just can't seem to get them quite right, but I keep at it. Also developing the bushes and the flowers more shading, and deepening the shadows in the front of the house. Please give it a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe to see more. Thanks for watching. Now let's paint. Here we are back at the Mount Gretna painting. Today I'm going to be making more adjustments. I'm going to be adding more details. And the painting does have an awful lot of detail to be worked with. Darkening the window panes. Trying to get those angles right for my perspective. And I don't think I still have them right, but I'll be getting back to that one again. There's so many different ways to paint windows. Very precisely or very loosely, putting in specific panes. I'm trying to be on the looser side here without getting too tight because I want the painting to feel relaxed and festive. Since I worked fairly lightly, I can correct any mistakes that I may have made, or I could change my mind and work on top of them. So here's that open window or open door that I originally had done at a different angle, and deciding to change the angle at this point, painting right on top of what I had done before. Putting more shading in on the dark side of my ivy plant climbing the house and elsewhere. Because as the painting dried, many areas became too light for what I was looking to do. My favorite shading go-to for plants seems to be Hooker's Dark mixed with indigo. And to get really good and dark, sometimes I'll put some purple in there as well. I continue to make these fairly dotty, light strokes because I want my color areas to be broken and not solid. I find it more interesting for this particular painting to do it that way. And you'll see the continued use of different shades of green. And here I'm using a blue-green. Elsewhere I've mixed orange with green, burnt sienna with green, purple with green, and yellow with green. I've also used a lot of sap green, which is a very nice color. Decided to darken the chimney on the shaded side. Now that the mask is gone, I have to be careful to paint around the areas where I want to have flowers in the future, which is where you see most of the white blobby areas at this point. So I paint in siding lines and then I shade them out with a damp brush so that they are there, but they're not all spelled out. I feel that looks more natural. One of my thoughts as I was painting this home with so many plants was how long it took me to paint all these plants. And then laughing to think how long it must have taken the owner to water and care for all these plants. If the owner ever went on vacation and left them alone, that would be a tragedy. I've just decided to make my shadows darker, and I've mixed together some lovely purple and some blue. Here I'm finally getting the angle of that window right and darkening the panes. Deepening my shadows with purple and blue mixed together, where some trees are shading the home. The shadow from the tree or plant is dappled and not all solid. And that's a fun kind of shadow to paint. So the home had gingerbread trim along the roof line, and there I added some shadows along each individual little scallop. Softening the edges of the shadow that I just put in with a damp brush. Shadows can be quite harsh and linear, but I find that trees and vegetation tend to make a soft shadow, so I usually soften the edges of that. As a shadow climbs up a house or an object and wraps around it, it does actually curve like that, or bend. So I had the tree shadow climbing up the roof, or maybe it's the chimney shadow, I'm not even sure. In any case, it reached the top and bent over and went on the other side. This railing that I'm painting right now was all in shadow except for the very edge at the bottom, where some bright light hit it. And I'm trying to make that shadow curve around the banister because the banister curved. Now I've decided to go back and shade the front of the house darker still. At this point, I'm going to go back to the plants, develop them a little bit more. And since there's so very much of that to go on in this painting, I think we're going to skip ahead just a little bit here. Here I'm using a lot of yellow to light up the bright side of the plants. I decided I liked how that looked, but I'm still trying to leave whites mixed in with the yellows. I use my spray bottle a lot. I find it very, very helpful to me. It keeps my background soft, and it keeps anything natural looking more soft than trying to paint dry on dry. Bright red for many of the flowers. Since I'm painting on preserved whites, at this point the floral colors are going on very brilliantly. Not to say they might not need another layer or two to be glazed into the brilliance I want. But if I had not planned ahead and left those whites, I could not get those same bright colors. Now I'm using some alizarin crimson to make some darker colored flowers. And it's working well for the flowers that are in shade. And you'll notice even in the darkest areas, I'm still trying to leave some spots of light where the paper is still white. And I think that adds the sparkle of naturalness. Even in the short time since I started painting this particular episode, you'll see how the windows have gotten so much lighter. Hoping you enjoyed this video and that you learned something too, as well as me learning something. I appreciate your likes, and please do subscribe. If you click on the bell and select all, you'll get a ring whenever I post a new video. Your comments are always welcome, and I will see you soon with a new end-to-end painting. So don't forget to subscribe.